Hi, it's Tracy again. I didn't really know what today's topic was going to be, but this is our adventures in full-time RVing. Uh, and I'm still not really sure what the topic's going to be today, so I may just ramble a little bit. But I wanted to make sure I got another video up. I guess there's a couple of things I could talk about. One is why people choose to go full-timing. So I guess I'll kind of do some of that today. The reason we chose to go full-timing I kind of went into in the first video. But that's not the reason that we were going to go. The reason we were going to go was because we were going to do it when we retired. And we wanted to travel, and we wanted to have some different experiences. And RVing gives you the opportunity to do that. But I've met a lot of people along the road, and more specifically, because my memory is so bad, in this park, that are full-timers or that are snowbirds. What a snowbird is somebody who comes down south during the winter months, and during the summer months they go back home to their house in whatever northern state that may be. That may be Michigan, Maine, New Hampshire, Vermont, Maryland, places like that. Places where you get snow, and so therefore you're a snowbird. You go south for the winter. And I've met some full-timers here too. People who live here full-time, or who live in their RV full-time. Most full-timers choose a place and they stay there. And a lot of them chose to do this because it's a cheaper way of living. If you can get a decently priced, nice-looking, or a decent RV, it is a cheaper way of surviving, especially in the economy that we have right now. And I find that there are a lot more full-timers than I think there were 10 years ago. A lot of that has to do with the economy. But some of the reasons I've heard have been things like, well, next door there's a fellow who I just absolutely adore, and he's retired, but his wife still works, and she got transferred down here. So they got in their camper, and they came down here, and they found this campground, which I think anybody who finds this campground is extremely lucky, because it's a wonderful place. It's one of the best campgrounds I've ever been at. And I've been to a lot. But because she had to work, and she was transferred here, they chose to live here. Now, they're full-time here right now. I don't know, because I haven't asked them if they have a home back in the state that they're from. They very well might. But because he's retired, when she retires, they may just go full-timing. But I don't know. You know, maybe they'll go back to their home state. I know he misses it an awful lot. And then next door here, right behind me, actually, the camper you can see, those folks are from up north. And they're just fantastic people. They're snowbirds. And where they're from is very cold in the winter, so they come down here during the winter, and I think they make a couple of stops on the way to visit family, and then they come down here and spend the winter months. Now, one of the reasons I think people have chosen this campground is during the winter months they have a lot of activities, and that to me is unusual for a campground. I haven't been to a campground that's had that before, but this campground has a lot of activities. They have potluck dinners, although that potluck dinners tends to be a theme in most parks, whether they're planned or not. Some of the parks I've been to, it's been, you know, the next door neighbor's barbecuing, let's grab something and go over, and it ends up being a big potluck for the whole campground. There was one campground we were at, it was fantastic. It was a accidental potluck where, you know, somebody was barbecuing, we all ended up bringing stuff over, and we actually ended up making up a couple of plates for people who couldn't get out of their campers or trailers, and took them to them because we knew they weren't going to be able to get over to it. I thought that was fantastic. But I've never been to places that have it planned. This place has bingo once a week, or once a week. They have karaoke every other week, which is so much fun. I haven't sang in such a long time. It was a lot of fun to do that this week. And my husband actually feels so comfortable with these folks, which, by the way, is saying a lot for him and for them, that he went with me, and he got up and sang. So that was a big deal. These are just fantastic people that we're with right now. To the point where, for the first time ever, my husband and I are actually talking about going to travel around a little bit, or to go to a certain campground that we're comfortable with for the winter months, for the summer months, and then come back down here maybe next year. If we don't make it next year, at least the year after, to be able to visit again and do this stuff. This is the lifestyle I wanted when I chose full-time RVing, and it's one of the first campgrounds I found that actually has it. There are other full-timers here who did this because the economy was bad and it was a less expensive way of living. And they live here year-round, and some of them have lived here for many, many years. There are other ones who are here temporarily, but they've been here what you would call full-time. When you've been here a year, when you've been in a campground a year, you're pretty much full-time. When you don't have another house to go back to, you're full-time. There are some, what do I want to say? There are some bumps in the road that come up when you're full-timing that are things that you have to figure out. One of those is finding medical care if you're disabled, or if you have medical issues, or even the older folks. Older folks need medical care. And if you're full-time, it changes things. See, the snowbirds, they can come down for 4 months, and if they have prescriptions or whatever, most of their doctors will write their refills, and they can refill them down here or whatever while they're down here. And then they just go back to their regular doctor when they get home. But when you're full-time, if you move around like we do, see, if you're full-time and you stay in one spot, again, it's not too much of a problem. Find a doctor, you're good to go. When you're full-time and you move around like we do, doctor care becomes a little bit trickier. It's already hard enough to find a good doctor. So when you get in an area, you've got to do some very quick phone calling, and you've got to know the questions to ask that are going to work for you. Now, my questions aren't going to work for everybody, but you've got to figure out what it is you're looking for, what it is you want, and you've got to find the questions that are going to work for you. And when you do that, you can usually narrow it down to a few doctors. And you got to trust in something, whatever that is, to help you find the right doctor pretty quickly. And sometimes it may take a couple of tries, but you should be able to find one. Now, we don't move around so much that we couldn't go to a doctor for a few months. The plan for us is 3 to 4 months at a time, and then move on. I find 4 months is about the cutoff point before we start to get really bored or start getting depressed. We can usually make it about 6 if we have to, so I move on. For instance, with kindness, the next door neighbors know that we're struggling this month. And when you're a full-time RVer or even a snowbird, you know what it's like to get into tough situations and have to get through. And I find that the kindness of these people, not just in this campground, but as a community, and RVers are a community, surpasses anything I've ever seen. And the next door neighbor just came over and told me he cooked too much spaghetti tonight, and would I like to have spaghetti, and he could put all of it together and just bring it over to me in a pot. And I took it because the boys love spaghetti. My stomach's doing terrible tonight. I probably shouldn't even be sitting outside, but I took it for the boys. I'll eat something little that won't hurt my stomach so much, but it was really kind of him to bring that over. And he said just bring the pot back when I can. He's the same guy that loaned me the brush to wash the camper when we first got here. And he only met me for a few minutes at the laundromat. So, very kind people. He also helped me get some good soap to wash the camper, because when you have to wash your camper, you don't want to just use laundry soap. Here's a hint: don't use laundry soap, it won't take the grime off. And when I remember what it is that we used, I will do a little video on how to wash your camper appropriately, properly. Maybe I could even borrow his brush long enough to show you what it is that I used. I'm trying to make a list of things that are good topics about full-time RVing. So if you have any ideas, if there's something you'd like to see, if there's questions you have, please write them down. A few of the possible topics are the full list of questions you want to ask when looking for a campground. How to homeschool if you have young kids with you. All about homeschooling, because I homeschooled more before we went RVing, but the questions are applicable, and I've worked on helping people with kids homeschool their kids, so I can give you some answers with that too. All about pets. Oh, that's a good one. I have to add that when I go in the house. All about pets and RVing, because there are some do's and don'ts with your pets. And there's also a few pet breeds that you're going to have an awfully hard time finding a campground that'll let you have them. When we first left, we had a Rottweiler with us, and that was tough. She was older, so that helped, but people don't like to have Rottweilers in their campgrounds. It's sad. They have a bad reputation. I don't agree with it, but unfortunately it makes it difficult if you have that breed. I'll have to think of some other things. I'm trying to think of some topics so that I don't just get on here and ramble, because I think this is kind of rambling. And maybe you can help me with that. Maybe you can send me some ideas. You can put them on the comments. I will look at them. I'll look at comments before I make videos and see if I can't come up with something that that you might want to hear about. I know full-time RVing is a curiosity for a lot of people. I have a lot of people who ask me, how do you do this? How do you do that? How do you get by? That's part of the fun of it. Part of the fun of it is having something new to learn all the time. As meeting these new people, it's socializing in a way that you normally wouldn't. I don't ever want to live in a stick-built home again. I don't want a stable home again. We get bored. We don't want to be there. We think we do, but we don't. Alright, so I think I've rambled long enough. I'm going to go edit this video now, and I will be putting these up as often as I can. Sorry it's been so long since the last one. Please put comments of what you would like to know. Questions. Questions about full-time RVing. Things that you don't know about. Things that you're curious about. Things that might help other people. Whatever. And I will do my best to get some videos up to answer them. Alright, thanks. Have a good day. Bye-bye.